Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One. You have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio on the Wake Up Radio. And of course, if y'all can hear me, put a 1 in the chat, please. If y'all can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. I humbly apologize for the change of time. As something last minute came up, I wasn't sure if I would be able to do that and come on time, so I didn't want to disrespect people's time while I search for the appropriate music. Tonight is somewhat of a celebration. Let's see. It's too mellow. That's not celebratory. Let's see. All right, that's what we're going with. Let me make adjustments. There we go. Let me get a sound check on the music, please. Let me know if that's too loud. Yeah, and this brother said, don't forget to smash the like button as you come in. So tonight we're going to discuss the recent signing and cementing of the Sahel Alliance in Africa, and for what it means for the future of Africa. I think it's a momentous occasion, and the thing about it is that how can I put it? Things that are good for Black people are not liked by non-Black people. It's been make it plain and simple, right? Like, things that are beneficial for us, people don't like. It doesn't matter where we are in the world, right? So that's gonna be the point of discussion tonight. So again, I apologize for changing time basically at the last minute. Y'all know that almost never happens, and I'm gonna try to be somewhat brief, because this will probably be something that we focus on again later on. Also, what I want to do real quick is recap a little bit of this past weekend. For those who don't know, Brother Tchaine had a chopping it up session in Baltimore on Saturday afternoon. And first of all, it was hot. Like, you're on the East Coast, you already know I'm talking about. It was scorching, blazing. Like, the type of hot where you come outside and the sun is punching you on your forehead immediately just to let you know who's in charge. Yeah, it was that kind of hot. It was like 100 degrees. So I was thinking it wouldn't be as hot because we were traveling north a little bit. Yeah, nah, that didn't make no difference, bro. It was hot. It's hot. So anyway, Brother Jamie forsook the technology and just went straight to talking to the people straight. And some of the, oh, by the way, yeah, I just remember. So after I talk to him, I'll let y'all know, because I got footage from the last 3 events. So I'll let y'all know when and where that will be available. I'm not sure if he's going to add it up. I mean, chop it up and add what he want to do to it and make that available for sale, or I don't know. So, and he won't know until he gets all the footage. So I'll let you all know that. But we will get it to the people who want to see those events who aren't in the area. Also, real quick, let me say that August 17th is a BB for Holy to Sister Najee. Will be the 10th anniversary of Straight Black Pride movement, and it will be in Baltimore at the location that we were at this Saturday. So that flyer is up in the community tab for where we were this Saturday. That's where we will be. We'll be at Terra Cafe at I believe it's East 25th Street in Baltimore, Maryland. So when the official flyer is out, I'll be sure to put that up on all my social media. And I humbly apologize because the only people I've greeted at the door, before they the real black gentleman, are the people who came late. Before they the spirit, mind, character, soul, who was like on time, even though I wasn't on time. So before they to brother, you got ripped off. Before they to Kevin Austin. Before they to Sister Vanessa. Let's see, who did I miss? Greetings to Brother Safo. Says that the best 2 hours of my Sunday getting ready for the overnight shift. Bruh, I know all about that overnight shift. And depending on what you do, you need all the content you can get to stay awake. So, hey man, I understand the struggle of that overnight, and you stay strong on that. Hopefully you're getting compensated sufficiently to make that worth your while. So, yeah, let's begin. That's all I have. Oh no, yeah. Back to Brother Genie real quick. So, I'm trying to remember the gist of what he's saying because it's, I had a conversation with him today. We had the event yesterday. We had the two events. So a lot of stuff has been going on. First of all, and I'll find a way to get that out. But for those, how many people saw the JP conference? First of all, if you saw the JP conference, put a 1 in the chat. That is available on Rumble. So if you didn't see that, if you're not aware of what's going on with that, I'll explain that real quick. A while ago, Brother Jenny asked me and some others to inform you all after he got booted off of social media to read the Irritated Genie book if you got it. If you don't got it, read it. Basically, the Desalinian spirit that's discussed in that book and the methodology of liberation, he basically announced he was going to implement that. So he's in the midst of implementing that. So if you haven't been keeping up, it's going to look weird when you see the moves that he's making. But he's doing in the spirit of our ancestors who achieved liberation. The reason I bring that up is because as we get into the discussion tonight, it's going to be some things that they're going to look similar on the risk board. We're not playing chess anymore. We're playing risk. And that game is totally different from chess. Chess is a one-on-one thing. We've been taught to correctly analyze our situation here in America as Black people in regards to white supremacy as a chess game between two opposing forces. The new reality of America and the new reality of the world, after somebody pressed pause on the world. And thank you, brother. You got ripped off. Yeah. YouTube is coming up with some new community guidelines. So I won't be talking as straight as normal. And we'll be talking in some rhymes and riddles a little bit. So that's why. But instead of the chess game that we used to, it's kind of weird because pretty much as soon as a significant number of Black people understood that concept, we're now in a game of risk where you have alliances between different groups to achieve certain objectives. The alliances, as Dr. John Henry Clark told us, they're not permanent. You're not trying to fall in love with people. You're not trying to integrate. You're not trying to, any of that stuff. Like, it's not a social thing. It's a political reality. It's a survival thing, right? Because I think now most of our people, if you say, hey man, we're not doing well and we could be overwhelmed here in America, at least most people, if they're dealing with reality, will come to some sort of agreement like that. They may not know the specifics, right? But people know something's not right. People know, if nothing else, they know most of us are not doing well, because every time you go to the grocery store and the gas station, it's like, bro, what is happening right now? So with that being said, we're going to get into the discussion on what Brother Jenny calls the Three Kings. And we're going to celebrate the moves that they are making. So y'all come with me on this journey. We're going to start it off with, and let me see how we're going to start it off. All right. Now, let's start it off here. Because, yeah, I like this because it got the picture of our brothers. It says West African, I believe you pronounce that Hunter, even though it looks like Junta. Leaders rule out rejoining ECOWAS. Now, first of all, let me stop right here and say something real quick. When most of the media I found, as far as like articles and stuff, as I went through this to bring this information up, most of the media was negative, right? And I'm not sure. Well, I didn't know. I hadn't looked at it because I hadn't really thought about it. You know how you don't think about something, and then you look into it and it's like, well, that's interesting. Why is all the media negative? And then of course, I woke up and realized, am I expecting, am I expecting the colonizers media, as people like to say, to be like, yeah, this liberation, this is fantastic. You know what I'm saying? So, once I was a little groggy when I was looking for this stuff. Once I woke up, I was like, hey, what am I talking about? Okay. So these are our three brothers, the Three Kings. We have, and see, all right, here's an example. Look at, all right, the image, they say image is from Francis Kokoroko, but he worked for Reuters, right? But the byline says the three Sahelian strongmen are gathering for the first time since coming to power through coups from 2020 to 2023. Now, see, when you see words like strong men, dictators, these code words, generally what they mean is leader who is not going to bow down to the West. That's generally what it means, right? So, this is our brother, I believe the name is Assimi Goita. This is Abdourahmane Tchaine. And this is our brother Ibraheem Traore, who I think kind of reminds me of a young continental Dr. Khalid Abdourahmane. Like, he has that presence of black manhood. And as I did the research, the West just don't like these people, right? which automatically, as soon as people that you don't like somebody, you ought to start investigating and say, okay, they must be doing something right. And of course, that's what we believe, they're doing something right. So let's get to the article. It says the military leaders of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger said Saturday that they had no plans to rejoin the West African regional bloc of ECOWAS. The three hunters left the Economic Community of West African States in January, accusing the body of being manipulated by former colonial ruler France. Now let's just say this here. Can we be honest? You don't have to accuse people that you know is bowing down, like they've been bowing down. If they stood up, that would be something different. But they've been bowing down. So as we see how this is being written, the slant that's being written with. Now it says, speaking at the first gathering of its kind since military coups in all three countries, Niger's military leader, General Abdourahmane Tchaine, said that the nearly 50-year-old ECOWAS has become a threat to our states. The three leaders agreed to strengthen their own union, the Alliance of Sahel States, the AES, created last year amid fractured relations with its neighbors. It will be an AES of the peoples, instead of an ECOWAS whose directives and instructions are dictated to by powers that are foreign to Africa. Stop right there. See, this is what happens, right? When, and I'm just going to use some street language. This is what happens when real G's step on the block and say, I'm just keeping 100. Y'all some suckers. You've been some suckers. You're not on our side. You're working for them folks. You're the ops, as the young people say. And we can't rock with you like that. Now, if y'all decide to change or whatever, then maybe we can do something. But right now, we can't rock with you like that because y'all bowing down to them folks. See, this is like, it's just so beautiful to see strong brothers with some real talk and keeping it a buck. Anyway, Burkina Faso's leader, Captain Ibraheem Traore, went further, accusing, like this is a historical documented fact, accusing Western countries of exploiting Africa. Westerners consider that we belong to them and that our wealth belongs to them. They think that they are the ones who must continue to tell us what is good for our states. That era is gone forever. Our resources will remain for us and our populations. Stop right there. When you see a man talking like that, that explains why the enemy hates him, right? Because look, he's like, look, y'all been exploiting us. You know it, I know it, we know it, and they know it. And he said that time is over forever, right? Before they to roll out to Goita. He said that time is over forever. I want y'all to understand. This is not normal for black men to stand up and tell non-black people, look, what you've been doing, the wrong you've been doing, the exploitation that you've been doing, the political assassinations, the robbing us of our wealth, the exploiting of our women, the violation of our children. Nah, that's over. That's it. It's over. That's not happening no more, right? So these quotes show us the caliber of men that we're dealing with. And let's just be honest. We have here in America, we haven't been producing these type of black men. You know what I'm saying? You don't just wake up and walk outside and see these type of brothers every day. Hasn't been happening. So to see them on the continent standing strong is absolutely phenomenal. Right. Now, back to the article. It says the attack on one of us will be an attack on all of the other members, Mali's leader, Colonel Assimi Goita, also said. The meeting, which took place in Niger's capital of Niamey, came on the eve of Economic Community of West African States Summit in Nigeria. It says Sahel security a priority. Says the leaders also spoke about the Islamist insurgency in the Sahel region, which has been raging since 2014. They promised to consolidate their cooperation to quell the violence. The AES is the only effective sub-regional grouping in the fight against terrorism, Tchaine said. Tchaine declared on Saturday, calling ECOWAS conspicuous by its lack of involvement in this fight. The Islamist violence triggered a humanitarian crisis in the Sahel. leaving more than 24 million people requiring assistance. The trio equipped the G5 Sahel Joint Force established to fight regional Islamist groups in December, saying that France was not providing enough support for the anti-jihadist efforts. As well as leaving ECOWAS and shifting away from Western allies, the three countries have started favoring partnerships with Russia and Iran. 3 coups in as many years. As Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum was deposed in July 2023, and the junta said it would take 3 years to return to civilian rule. In Mali's case, civilian rule was last in place before the first of 2 coups in August 2020. Burkina Faso's elected government was ousted in 2022. The country has not been put under sanctions, and its current ruler, Captain Ibraheem Traore, has allowed elections to take place this summer. The U.S., meanwhile, said it will remove all forces and equipment from a small base in Niger this weekend, while fewer than 500 remaining troops will leave an important drone base in August ahead of a September 15th deadline. The drone base was an important element of operations dealing with counterterrorism missions in the Sahel, targeting groups linked to Al-Qaeda and so-called Islamic State. Niger's ruling junta broke off its military cooperation with the United States in March. So that is the gist of that. Before they Straight Black Pride to Straight Black Saw, and Straight Black Pride to Neil Davis. I don't think I missed anybody else. So that gives us a outline of where we are. And what I'm gonna do is I'm trying to figure out which video I'm gonna show. I'm gonna show a video that has the that shows the proceedings and shows clips and video of the conference, so we can just get a feel for what we're talking about here. And I couldn't find. There's another video I wanted, but I couldn't find that the people came out and met Traore when he came to Niger. And I mean, you would have thought he was the president of that country. People were out chanting and celebrating, and yeah, man, he, looked like the arrival of a rock star. So the people, from what I've been able to see, as far as just the reactions and what's been in the press, as far as them showing pictures, because they don't have nothing positive to say, the people seem to be on board and seem to see this as a historic time, and a time of revolutionary change. So when that is the case, you can do nothing but respect the work of these brothers and support them, because the moves that they're making are going to be beneficial for Black people globally when they are successful. So what we're going to do, we're going to load up this first clip real quick.
Nos peuples ont irrévocablement tourné le dos à la CEDEAO. Il nous appartient aujourd'hui de faire la Confédération Alliance des États du Sahel, une alternative à tout regroupement régional factice, en construisant une communauté souveraine des peuples. demeure convaincu que dans le contexte géopolitique actuel, l'Alliance des États du Sahel constitue le seul regroupement sous-régional efficient dans le domaine de la lutte contre le terrorisme, la CEDEAO ayant brillé par son déficit d'implication dans cette lutte.
L'Afrique, ce continent qui a tant souffert et qui continue de souffrir du fait des impérialistes. Ces impérialistes n'ont qu'un seul cliché en tête. L'Afrique est l'empire des esclaves. C'est comme ça qu'ils voient l'Afrique. Pour eux, les Africains les appartiennent. Nos terres les appartiennent. Nos sous-sols les appartiennent. Ils n'ont jamais pu changer de logiciel jusqu'à aujourd'hui.
So that was our brothers, and that was the what you say, Sister Vanessa? You say you love Brother Traore every time you see him. You see Dr. Collins. Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. That was the event, and the thing I noticed about the event is two things I noticed about the event. Right. One is that one of the main things they talked about was security. The other is that everybody that was dressed in African garb. And by the way, I apologize for how that the clip cut off the brother, but that's how it was. They where I got it from, they like cut him off basically in mid thought, and I'm just like, hey, wait a minute, what happened? So that wasn't me, that was them. You had a group of African people, mostly brothers, in African garb in Africa at an African political summit to make an African alliance, and the only non-African garb that was seen was military garb. So people who are there to do something. You see what I'm saying? People who are there to defend the people. So when you look at that, the imagery of it, man, it just shows that these people are serious about liberation, and that's what I got from it. So let's read this next article. This is from Al Jazeera, and it says, by the way, y'all can hear me, right? Because I'm never 100% sure, because sometimes this thing will take off a video and you're not heard as I find my music back. I forgot about that. Let's see. Music. Y'all let me know it. Okay, yeah. But yeah. Okay, now wait. This okay, my bad. This is what I want to talk about. My apologies. Let me get my thoughts together. One of the things they said is they talked about the importance of security. And the part about it is that no one is saying is though they're having like the Tuaregs, they were trying to have their own thing, and then you got these random Muslim groups, and you got the ISIS groups allegedly. And we know, if you've been on my page, you know what ISIS is. Yeah, you say need an alphabet. You know what? Thought never occurred to me. Yeah, we had, and brother trying to give me ideas. Man, don't make me find some African drumming and just loop it. So every time we do something related to the continent, I might just do that. So don't get me started, bro. Don't give me ideas. But back to what I was saying. No one talks about the destabilization of the region and the rise of these quote unquote Islamists is because of the United States of America, right? If you've seen in my Africa versus Everybody lecture, you've seen the actual enslavement of black people occurring, and right, yeah, I'm sure it's still going on, right? No one said, you know what, I woke up and I stopped it. Like that hadn't happened. So there's occurring right now in Africa, in Northern Africa, in the states, directly to the north of the Sahel states. So because of the destabilization of Libya, right? That caused the collapse of the government, that allowed the so-called Islamists to take over, and that allowed for them to start doing stuff like enslaving people, like attacking the countries around them. No, excuse me, enslaving black people. I don't know if they enslaved anybody. Enslaving black people. Let me correct myself. Thank you, Sister Najee. Mauritania is still fighting slavery. And so for all of these things, that just caused a ripple effect. So then those things expand outward, and the people that were, appreciate you, brother. You got ripped off with the super sticker, $5 super sticker. By the way, he's letting y'all know that the super chats and all those things, including the super thanks, which you can leave on a video, even when the live stream's not up. All of those things are open and available. We took care of everything with YouTube, and we're good to go with that. So, so if you have a comment that you really want to say, you feel like putting your money there, we appreciate it. So the U.S. is, like I said, is really directly responsible for the destabilization of the region because of their destruction of the Libyan government and the murder of Muammar Gaddafi, which no one disputes that the U.S. did that, but no one talks about the slavery, the wars, and everything else that took place because of that. No one else, as far as I know, no Western media goes back to the region, looks at this stuff and like, oh my, this has made the whole area worse, and that had a ripple effect throughout the region. So, oh yeah, bro, yes, yeah, Hillary. You know what? I'll put that up. Since you already donated, let me put that up on screen. Hillary Clinton, she laughed about it. She thought it was funny. And I'm sure that they are aware of all the ramifications of that, right? As far as State Department, U.S. government, so forth. So the three kings decided, well, look, we're part of this ECOWAS. The French are supposed to be our ally, quote unquote. And we're saying, hey, man, we cannot take care of our people if we can't secure our people. And since you're our ally, how about you help us do that? And the French, being French, like, well, they, basically the French are like, well, if y'all do that, then, yeah, no, that's not for our benefit. So the brothers were like, fine. They were in the military. I'm sure they talked to the leadership and they were like, you know what? I think this French thing is not a good idea. And, the leadership was like, hey, man, I'm getting my money, bro. And so they said, oh, okay, cool. That's how you care? That's how you feel? All right. See how much money you get now. You know what I'm saying? You know, you put boot to butt and get the person out of here, and you get some real G's, and that's basically how it goes. So I just wanted to say that because the Islamists that the U.S. claims to be fighting are the Islamists that the U.S. in essence paved the way for to take over in the region. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the, what they say, you make the problem and then you come in to claim that you're going to solve the problem. But how are you going to solve the problem when you made the problem, right? Now, let's get to this next article. It says West African Leaders Summit opens as see what I mean? Now, even Al Jazeera says coup hit countries form alliance. It doesn't say as freedom fighters form alliance, as revolutionaries form alliance. It doesn't say anything positive as coup hit countries form alliance. So that goes to show you that even Al Jazeera, which as far as we know is owned by some Arabs, as far as I know. Y'all help me out. I'm not 100% sure because, you know, people be buying up stuff nowadays. They can't even be their political slant against liberation is shown. So, all right, let's get into it. Says a West African Leaders Summit has opened a day after the military rulers of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger formed a new alliance, severing its ties with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. The ECOWAS Summit is being hosted in the Nigerian capital, Abuja, after several West African leaders called for a resumption of dialogue with the three coup-hit Sahel countries, which signed a new defense pact on Saturday during the summit of their own in Niamey, the capital of Niger. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger announced the pact, known as the Alliance of Sahel States, last September, that allows them to cooperate in the event of armed rebellion or external aggression. The three countries withdrew from ECOWAS in January after the regional bloc's tough stance against the coups. Now think about that. You come to power because you have ineffective leadership, right? And more than likely corrupt leadership. Let's just be honest. And then you say, all right, we had to take over because the people was corrupt. And then the people that you were aligned with were like, yeah, taking over because people are corrupt. You know, we don't think that's a good idea. At that point, you look around, you're like, oh, I get it. Y'all corrupt. That's why you don't back us. All right, cool. Then we'll just roll out and we'll do our own thing. All right. Now, says, reporting from Abuja, Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris said the timing of Saturday's announcement by the Sahel Alliance was aimed at showing that three countries can do without the regional bloc. But some analysts say Mali and Niger in particular could face difficulties if all member countries of ECOWAS decide to isolate the two landlocked countries. All right, I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Y'all tell me. If you don't agree with them, right, but you have your own thing, why would you decide to try to isolate them and hurt what they're trying to do if it's for the people? Like, who are these leaders working for? If they doing their own thing, you let them do their own thing. And whatever economic things that you're doing that benefit both countries, you just continue those. Right? Like, what's the motivation for that politically? Anyway, says right now the military leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger seem to have momentum on their side, and they are scouting the global community for support. ECOWAS has a lot of work ahead before it can bring these three countries back into the fold, if at all they agree to do that. Speaking at the summit on Saturday, Niger's General Abdourahmane Tchaine called the 50-year-old ECOWAS a threat to our states, right? Adding that the three countries aim to create an alliance free of foreign influence of our people. Free of what? Foreign influence for our people. Speaking, ECOWAS lifted sanctions. ECOWAS had put sanctions on Niger in February in an attempt to mend relations, but little progress has been made. The bloc has opposed sanctions following the July 20 23 coup that brought Tchaine to power. Let's see. Do I gotta click on something else? Is that it? No, that's my bad. I don't know what that is. Okay, I guess that's the article. All right. Anyway, apologize for that. Click on the wrong thing. You got to be careful on this internet. Don't know what the pop up when you click on the wrong thing, right? So, ECOWAS obviously is in opposition to the Sahel. You know what? Hold on. Before I do that, let me look up. Do I have it up? All right, let's look up the states that are ECOWAS right now. So we'll see who we're talking about. All right, here we go. Benin, Cape Verde, Cote d'Ivoire, the Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Togo. Those are the remaining ECOWAS states. So these are the countries, if y'all can see it on here, that are now in opposition to our brothers in the Sahel. So to be honest, we have to look closely at these countries to see what type of moves they make, see if they continue to try to do economic sanctions or see if they try to be standoffish against the brothers. Because if so, then we have to call them out. You know, just like we called out Rudo. We saw him bowing down to the West and now, you know, sending troops to Haiti. And there's all, you know, I mean, let's be honest. It's just straight cooning, right? Just on a grander political level. Over there, you know, kissing up, being buddy with Sleepy Joe. You know, all that stuff. By the way, sidebar, I digress. How many people saw man Sleepy Joe molesting that brother at that event? Did y'all see the video of that? That was wild. That was disgusting. They gotta do something about that, dude. I think I'm gonna make a video on Sleepy Joe because apparently he said something wild about he said something crazy. He's been saying something crazy a lot lately. But you know, he said something about him and black women or something. Man, I can't remember the exact quote. But when I saw it, I was just like, you know what? This is this dude lunching. And I still think they're gonna roll out Big Mike / Michelle Obama, but apparently she's not running. So, you know what? Who knows what's gonna happen here in America? Like people talking about the instability of other countries. What about the instability of the United States of America at this time? So anyway, now we'll get to this next article. Now that we looked at who exactly is in ECOWAS, let's go to our brother Traore. This is from TRT Africa. It says Ibraheem Traore, why Burkina Faso's leader attracts attention. And let's see what they have to say. It says Ibraheem Traore in Burkina Faso's president today, courtesy of 2 coups in under 9 months, January and September of 2022. He became the world's youngest head of state in September, when he and other junior military officers ousted Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Damiba, who had also ascended to the presidency. Justifying why they were removing Damiba from office, Traore said in a televised address on October 1st, 2022, that the embattled head of state had failed to tackle the perennial problem of insurgency. Damiba, 41, had been ousted by Traore 7 years his junior and 2 positions lower than him in the military chain of command. Now let me say this. Now you see the brother with his squad. Like you know a dude is thorough when like the dudes around him also look thorough. Like the 2 brothers behind them just look like, hey, we're not here to play no games. You could get hurt. You know what I'm saying? If you run, they say run up and get done up. You know what I'm saying? So, says in the military hierarchy, Traore has the rank of Capitaine, French word for captain. There are 3 ranks above that of captain. They are commandant, lieutenant colonel, and colonel respectively. Being a former French colony, Burkina Faso adopted France's military structure. Whereas many people describe Traore's rise as meteoric, within military circles, his rise to the top was just around the corner. After serving in relatively junior positions in Burkina Faso's military, Traore's major stride came in 2014, where he was deployed to Mali as a soldier under the United Nations peacekeeping mission program, MINUSMA. I did have a video on that, but I don't think I loaded it up. Soldiers within Burkina Faso's military told the country's radio Omega in the past that Traore, during his deployment in Mali, showed bravery. Aged 26 at the time, Traore overcame a complex attack by militant extremists in the northern Timbuktu region, an unnamed source told Radio Omega. His leadership attributes, the source further said that Traore, who was a lieutenant at the time, exhibited leadership attributes including being willful, courageous, and close to his men. Beside the assignment in Mali, Traore also featured prominently in the fights against insurgency in his native Burkina Faso between 2019 and 2022. He was promoted to the rank of captain in 2020. Shortly after staging the coup against Damiba's administration in September 2022, Traore acknowledged that his age, 34, will be a subject of discussion among those questioning his presidential credentials. He says, quote unquote, "I know that I'm younger than most of you here. We did not want what happened, but we did not have a choice," he told government officials in October of 2022. The international shine on him appeared to have faded until July 2023, when he accompanied 16 other African heads of state to St. Petersburg in Russia for a meeting with President Vladimir Putin, who had organized the Russia-Africa Summit. His fellow presidents were dressed in a characteristic custom-tailored expensive suit, but the towering Traore, who was slightly above 6 feet, showed up in military combat clothing complete with red beret and tactical gloves. While walking past the security officers who were saluting the arriving heads of state at the summit's venue, Expo Forum, Traore was one of the few, if not the only visiting president who saluted back. If that did not appeal to the world's optics, his muscular physique and unique presence, even in Putin's proximity, did when he posed for a photograph with the Russian leader. So, this is not Jay say wartime attire. That's right. So this brother, basically what they're saying is what we perceive through the media of his presence and his air is real. It's not manufactured. He's a real dude who's been on the battlefield, has fought for his people, has fought against Islamists and insurgents and bodied them, right? So he's a G, like you know what I'm saying? He's certified. And it just goes to show that the people that are around him, they respect him because they know he's a G. Because I'm gonna be honest, this how it is. When men come together, right? If they know a dude is authentic, he's real, and he's thorough, he earns the respect of the men. And then in those situations where it is necessary to be shown and someone has to be the vanguard, someone has to be the leader. When that person shows up in that event and they pass that test, they engender more loyalty in addition to even more respect, because you just know worst come to worst, whatever go down, this dude isn't going to turn his back on us, and he's not going to turn and run past us if we headed towards the enemy. Right. So Baba Rudy said that there is an African quote that says, "He who was closest to the enemy in pursuit is the leader." And so one thing we see about not just our brother Traore, but our brother Goita and our brother Tchaine is that they are in pursuit of the enemy. They are organizing around security first. They're organizing around putting down insurgency first. They're organized around fighting against terrorism first. And I believe as they get stronger, they'll be organizing against stopping enslavement and human trafficking in the region, because it's around, in essence, geopolitically around the corner from them. So, those type of people, just being completely honest, when real dudes step in the building, dudes who aren't real and aren't thorough are intimidated and don't like them because they know you can be exposed, whether as a snake or a sucker or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So those who are real and those who admire the authentic and wish to be that are attracted. Those who are fake and snakes and cowards and suckers and sellouts are repulsed. You see what I'm saying? So for me anyway, in the coming days, as this alliance gets stronger and everything, they will be a measuring stick for who's thorough, who's an African nationalist, who's for the people. They're going to be a measuring stick, and we're going to see who's who just by their presence, right? So let me get back to the article about our brother. Now, says the problem is seeing African heads of state who bring nothing to people who are struggling, singing the same song as the imperialists who call us militia. As a result, they end up referring to us as people who do not respect human rights, Traore said. We African heads of state must stop acting like marionettes who dance each time the imperialists pull on our strings. There's a picture with him with Mr. Putin. Now, Putin, for an older dude, always like been in shape, man. He one of them rough and tumble cats. You be seeing him out there chopping wood, doing all types of stuff. Sometimes with his shirt off, which is wild because he in Russia, which is crazy. But anyway, so when you see Mr. Traore next to him, looking like a giant, you're like, okay, either Putin is smaller than I thought, Traore is bigger than we think. But I don't know. Either way, though, it says Traore went ahead to blast African presidents who are happy to receive freebies. Let me stop right there. Like, I don't know if he was talking about William Ruto, but he's talking about William Ruto, even if he wasn't talking about him, because, he fits the bill, right? Said yesterday, July 27th, President Vladimir Putin announced that free grain would be shipped to Africa. That is pleasing, and we say thank you for this. However, this is also a message to our African heads of state. At the next forum, we must not come here without having assured the sufficiency of the food supply for our people. We must learn from the experience of those who have succeeded in achieving this. His remarks were likened to those made in the early 1980s by the revered Thomas Sankara, who, just like Traore, ascended to the Burkina Faso presidency through a coup. That right there, right? The idea of Traore being like unto Sankara is a manifestation of what the Panthers used to say, what Fred Hampton used to say. You can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. So, Brother Traore probably, I don't think he's old enough to have remembered Brother Sankara. But the Sankara spirit of being upright men, of being self-sufficient, of not being beggars and not bowing down and kissing the feet of imperialists, that same spirit is within the brother, so that the removal of Sankara from the planet only delayed the manifestation of the Sankara plan, because a man like unto him is now back 30 years later, or maybe 40 years later. So it just goes to show that if the seeds of revolution are planted and they're watered, even if they're watered out of sight, they will manifest again at a time that is beneficial to the people, right? So that's something we need to remember here, because sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I look around I look at the condition of our people. I look at where we are. I look at what we're doing. I look at what we value. I look at what we think. And I'm like, man, we in bad shape, right? But the seeds of revolution, and I was talking to brother, you got ripped off, and he was like, you know, y'all kind of like the last generation to see certain people and to experience certain things and to do certain things. And when he said that, I was like, man, I never thought about it that way. And so planting those seeds and giving it to the younger people and having them organize and having them take positions where they have responsibility is necessary, because even if you don't see the fruits of it at the time, the fruits will manifest at a time when it is beneficial to the people. Just like a perfect example of that is Minister Malcolm X. His father was a Garveyite who was murdered, right? The people there were like, okay, we got rid of that problem. Only for the son to become greater and an international figure who, through his blood being shed, would birth the Panthers, who would go on to be international figures, who would go on to inspire people around the world. And that cycle goes. So as long as we understand that and we focus on that the revolutionary can be killed, but the revolution cannot be killed, only delayed, then we understand the benefit of doing the work and supporting the leaders and being ready when the leaders appear to support them and as they continue to push the ball forward for global Black liberation, right? So I just had to get that off real quick. Let's get back to the article. Let's see. It says Sankara incarnate, and they got a picture of our brother Thomas Sankara, who was assassinated October 15th, 1987. And that's really right around the time when I first started getting the first hints of knowledge, to be honest. It says that on October 4th, 1984, Sankara, in an equally major international platform, the United Nations General Assembly, said, "Our economic ambition is to use the strength of the people of Burkina Faso to provide for all 2 meals a day and drinking water." On social media, Traore has been referred to as Sankara incarnate. Amid a major famine in Western Africa that had ravaged Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, Niger in the 1980s, Sankara staged a coup against the French leadership in Burkina Faso, August 4th, 1983. The Pan-African Revolutionary would go ahead to win the hearts of many citizens of Burkina Faso by introducing measures to address foreign debt and extreme hunger that had caused excessive suffering. Whereas hunger remains one of Burkina Faso's main challenges today, insecurity is an even bigger problem. Traore has pledged to fight extremist violence as a call for support from new allies, including Russia. He says his soldiers need training, equipment, and intelligence gathering to up their game against militant extremists. Now it says, amid the high praise, some political observers say that Traore has not yet done something concrete for the people of Burkina Faso to draw strong approval. Now let's think about it. The man been in office politically for 5 minutes, and here comes the haters. Before they to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. Hope you're doing well. Wonderful producer, put your Cash App in the chat if y'all can. Y'all got a few dollars to spare. Help our sister. She's been dealing with a medical issue, and she's the reason that I am on today. So if you appreciate the information and the things that I do here on YouTube, she's actually the person to thank, because without her, I wouldn't be doing this. So, Sister Cindy, you can do that. We appreciate it. Says Nigeria. Oh, okay. Now, that explains it. Nigerian public affairs commentator Achike Chude says Traore needs to put certain structures on the ground that will allow to build a reputable legacy. Will he improve on the challenges that he highlighted or his predecessor? Leaders who ascend to the presidency through a coup have to walk the talk, he said. He needs to put certain structures on the ground, such that by the time he is leaving office, people would look back and say, well, the military was in charge, but its leadership was not so bad. Chouke also took issue with the manner in which Traore rose to power. Coups can be very delicate and dangerous, especially when you try to oust a military government. People say he worked closely with Damiba, his predecessor. Some would look at it and term his actions betrayal, Chouke said. The public affairs commented as that Traore's motivation for ousting Damiba remains unclear. We do not have a definite knowledge about what is motivating him. He could be motivated by selfish interests. He could also be motivated by genuine and patriotic national interests, Chouke said. I'm gonna just be honest, right? I don't know who this Chouke dude is, but man, he's talking at coon talk, right? Like, I don't know if y'all remember back in the day when like Dr. Khaled and strong people was around, and they would ask the bootlickers, and the bootlickers would try to down talk them and downplay them, like, oh man, you know, those people, you know, these people not really for the people, blah blah blah. But they not for the people. If you not for the people, how you gonna turn around and say, oh, this person ain't for the people, right? So anyway, let's get back to the article. Let me go from there. It says, now, do you think that this man is gonna stand before the world and build with real G's, and they don't know that he thorough? His men don't know that he's thorough? Hey, anyway. After his trip to Russia in July, Captain Ibraheem Traore received a grand welcome by thousands of Burkina Faso citizens who had lined up on the streets of the capital of Ouagadougou. All right, I butchered that, but my humble apologies. Should have did the research before that. How did this journey to the relatively senior military rank and eventual presidency start? Traore studied at the local military academy and thereafter joined the army in 2009 when he was 21 years old. He acquired artillery skills in the North African nation of Morocco. Traore settled on a military career after completing his secondary education in Bobo Dioulasso City, southwest of Burkina Faso. Reports state that he is a shy and reserved person, but highly intelligent. Prior to removing Damiba from office, he was the head of artillery regiment in Burkina Faso. Immediately after the September 2022 coup, Traore declared himself the new head of the Patriotic Movement for Conservation and Restoration. And 5 days later, on October 6th, he announced that he was Burkina Faso's new transitional president. He promised to return power to civilian authorities. And if I'm not mistaken, they had an election, and he was elected as president. So this is not Jay. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. I just turned back from it. I just turned back to see the comments, and I saw the sisters. Yeah, pretty much, sister, pretty much. Right. So let's look at our brother Goita. It says president gets new sweeping powers and new Mali constitution. This is from actually last year, July 2020. Says this is from BBC. Military government in Mali has adopted a new constitution that enhances the powers of the president and the armed forces. It also creates a Senate and demotes from an official to a working language. Let's stop right here. First of all, this brother right here, this is so beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. He's like, look, okay, we've been speaking French, but we're not French. But we're going to use the language because we've been using the language, but it is not our language. Appreciate you, brother Kevin. It is not our language. So we're going to use it as we transition to something that is ours. That not just symbolic, but it is a move towards self-sufficiency. It's a move. It's a psychological move and a cultural move towards liberation, to not just be limited to the language or languages of enemies. You know, I remember one day I was talking to somebody and I said, what's crazy about the continent and really black people at large, if you think about it, right? There's about 6 languages that you can speak, none of which are African, that you pretty much can communicate with virtually every black person on the planet. Let's think about it. English, right? French, right? Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic. Well, that's 5. I don't remember what the 6th was. But if you can speak those 5 languages, you can communicate with the vast number of black people on planet Earth. None of these languages are African. Not a one, right? The closest would probably be Arabic, and that's not really, it's not really close. So that just goes to show how colonized culturally, spiritually, physically, economically, you name it, we have been. That you could master 5 non-African languages and communicate with virtually every African person, an African descendant person on the planet. You can't say that for no other people. Brother, you got ripped off said, I just seen something today that said that over 300 African languages and over 2,000 dialects on the continent. And you don't have to speak any of those. You can speak 5, in essence, 4 European and 1 Arabic language, and communicate with almost all black people. Right? Now, back to Mr. Goita says, the new constitution creates a Senate and demotes French from the official language. Mali has been ruled again by the dreaded military junta since 2020. The opposition movement has denounced the reforms. Isn't that interesting? You don't normally see people denounce reform. But anyway, which the Electoral Commission said were backed by 90% of the votes cast in last month's referendum. The official body said the turnout was 38%, which isn't that great, but it kind of isn't surprising with everything going on. I think the U.S. turnout, last time I checked, I didn't check the last election, was in the maybe high 50s, early 60s, and this can't even be the leading democracy of the world, yada yada, blah blah blah. Anyway, critics fear that these changes make it easier for generals to break their promise of handing power back to civilian leaders after the presidential election in February 2024. The new constitution makes interim president Colonel Assimi Goita can now dictate government policy and has the powers to dissolve parliament. A legal case to have the referendum results annulled because the vote was not held in all parts of Mali was rejected by the Constitutional Court. Numerous quote-unquote irregularities and quote-unquote violations of the law also meant the referendum result should be thrown out, according to Mali's opposition movement, made up of political parties and civil society organizations. What political parties and what civil society organizations, and who are they backed by? That's what I want to know. It has been labeled a quote-unquote plot on democracy by Ismail Sako, the leader of the Social Democratic Party, which was last month dissolved by the junta. Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. That's why you got a problem. All right. There was a huge popular support for the military junta when it seized power after the mass protests against then President Ibraheem Keita 3 years ago. People were fed up with economic uncertainty, a disputed election, and chronic insecurity. All right, let's start right here. So you got some guys poo-pooing the new government. I'm not sure about German, brother. I'm not sure. But anyway, you got a new government that's in place. You got what sounds like part of the old government poo-pooing the new government. Meanwhile, the people were in an uproar and protesting because of the ineffectiveness of the old government. Right. So, like how legitimate is what the opposition is saying when the people haven't had a chance to fully implement their policies that they need to move forward. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like here's what's crazy. And again, of course, these people aren't in our country, but now you still have people excusing Obama for not doing nothing, even though he was the president and he had a Democratic Congress and all this stuff. You still got people excusing him for when did he come in 2008? Did he come in 2008? Has it been that long? Anyway, 16 years ago, and we still have nothing, right? But these people have been in place 2 years, and they said they haven't done nothing. So it just goes to show a matter of perspective. Anyway, but the government says the new constitution will stop the spread of the 11-year jihadist insurgency. Mali recently decided to kick out all 12,000 so-called UN peacekeepers. If you know the history of UN peacekeepers, you understand that was a pertinent move, and is thought to employ 1,000 Russian mercenaries from the Wagner group for security backup. Oops. France's soldiers were ordered to leave last year, and there has been rising resentment of the former colonial power and its present relationship with Mali and West Africa more broadly. And that's the end of that article there. Now, next article real quick. Because I keep forgetting that I started late. So I'm like, oh man, I've been on too long. So y'all let me know if y'all all right. Because I do got some more. I got at least one more clip that I'm going to play after I get into this article. Because I just want to show why what these brothers are doing is so important. And it's something that, of course, they're not going to talk about, because when I say they, Western media, you drew a blank for a second, what they're not going to talk about. So let's check this out. This was from December 2023. Again, that's our brother Traore with Mr. Putin. It says Russia reopens embassy in Burkina Faso. It says Russia has reopened its embassy in Burkina Faso after it was shut for more than 13 years, officials said. Burkina Faso was a close ally of former colonial power France. Now let's stop right here. No, was not an ally. Burkina Faso was a vassal state, which means slave to France, right? Before it pivoted toward Russia since the military seized power in a coup in 2022. The junta has expelled French diplomats and has shut France's military base in the country. At the same time, it's been strengthening military diplomatic ties with Russia. France had condemned the coup, of course, in Burkina Faso, as well as neighboring Mali and Niger. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced plans to reopen the embassy during the Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg in July. The embassy was closed in 1992 as Moscow reduced its involvement in Africa following the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union. The embassy was reopened at a ceremony in Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou. I gotta actually listen to make sure that I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm gonna be talking about these things. Russia has not yet named the head of the mission. Russia's ambassador for Côte d'Ivoire, Alexei Saltykov, said he would head it until Mr. Putin made an appointment. He described the West African state as an old partner with whom we've had solid and friendly ties. Under Mr. Putin, Russia has made a huge push in recent years to regain influence in Africa. Burkina Faso's defense minister, Colonel Kassoum Koulibaly, held talks with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Shoigu, in Moscow last month. In the latest meeting between military officials from the two countries, Colonel Koulibaly said the talks had reached a practical phase as Burkina Faso's army tried to strengthen its capabilities. Along with Mali and Niger, Burkina Faso has been battling Islamist insurgency. So basically, Arab slave traders. That really, if we break it down, that's what we fight. We're fighting Arab slave traders and those who are influenced by Arab slave traders. Because again, in Nigeria, for example, which is not a part of this, how many times have we heard about Islamist extremists going around kidnapping little girls and all types of shenanigans and burning down villages and all that? So you would think that Nigeria, with all the people in Nigeria, right, that you would be able to build some type of military force and be able to defend yourself against these type of things, but apparently they can't. So you would think then, if you can't do that, then what you would do is look for someone who you can partner with to do that. But apparently they're not going to do that either, right? So now, what I wanted to do, before I forget, because I was about to forget, greetings to Brother Lee Clinton. What I wanted to do is I wanted to play this former French colonel. I think he's a former French colonel. And just listen to what he says, and then we will understand the necessity of these brothers making these moves to strengthen themselves politically with people who aren't France, and people who aren't aligned with France, and people who aren't cool with France, and people who don't think like France. Because we're going to look and see how the French think and act.
The former Chief of Staff of the French armies, General François Gérard-Marie Lecointre, has stated that France and Europe are planning a military recolonization of Africa over the next decade. This controversial statement has sparked outrage and debate among Pan-Africanists. The idea of recolonizing Africa may seem absurd and outdated in the 21st century, but General Lecointre believes that it is necessary for France and Europe to regain their influence and power in the African continent. He argues that Africa is a crucial source of resources and energy for Europe, and that it is essential to secure these resources through military intervention and control. A continent that is going to experience a demographic explosion like no other continent has ever experienced. And so, imagine that this happens in the next 10-20 years, and that it will have no consequences on Europe. The general statement has been met with criticism from many Africans who see it as a blatant attempt to exploit and dominate our countries once again. Africa is not a playground for European powers. Furthermore, the idea of recolonization goes against the principles of democracy and self-determination, which are the cornerstones of modern international relations. Why not face this reality and stand by the rules and laws that they are creating? It is important for African nations to have autonomy over their own affairs, rather than being subject to the whims of foreign powers. This happened in the past, and it shouldn't happen again. At least, not now that our eyes are wide open. While some may argue that it is necessary for securing resources and maintaining influence, the majority see it as a violation of African sovereignty and an attempt to re-establish colonial domination. Ultimately, it is up to us and the non-puppet leaders to decide our own fate and determine the best path forward for our people. Subscribe, drop a like, and share this video with others for this awareness to spread. Support the channel.
So, we got the gist of that. Apologize for all that advertisement and stuff. Got to edit that out. It's plain and simple. Right? He said what he said the quiet part out loud. We need to recolonize Africa. Because we don't have no resources. Plain and simple, right? The French has more gold reserves. They're like top 10 in gold reserves in the world without no gold. Any gold mines in the country. You see what I'm saying? So when you see, oh, my bad, music. So when you see, every time I see that clip, I get heated. So when you see these brothers saying, yeah, we're turning away from France, we're turning away from the people that's down with France. Now you see why? Because the French are saying that they need to recolonize the whole continent. So you'd be a fool to sit around and be down with those people who, if you're down with the French and the French are down for colonization, that means you're down for colonization. You know what I'm saying? Brother Real Black Gentleman says, this is an excuse and rules for non-conventional military. Oh, yeah. No. I wish I had that clip. Speaking of what you said. Sister Najee, if you still in here, remind me what that clip you sent me said about what Russia said about a biological weapons attack that would occur in Africa and will be blamed on Russia. Because I'm pretty sure you're the one that sent me that clip. But I think that's the gist of what they were saying. That Russia has said that in order to break Africa away from Russia, that the U.S. had moved their weapons, from the Ukraine to Africa. We're going to unleash something in Africa and then blame Russia for, and so in essence, a false flag operation in Africa against Africans that would be blamed on Russia using the biological weapons that were in the Ukraine, right? So when I find that actual clip, I got to make a video about that. So, brother, you got ripped off. Don't let me forget. If Tuesday morning passes and you don't see any notification, Assimi must be like, what's up with that Russia clip? Because I'm gonna try. I gotta find. Stuff is censored more than we think. So if I can actually find the articles and stuff, I gotta do a thing about that because I haven't heard anybody talk about that at all. Right. So again, we see what our brothers are doing. And we see why, because the French have been open about saying, you know what, man, we just need to roll on all these people and take what doesn't belong to us. Right? So it makes sense that they say, all right, we need to squad up. We need to talk to these other folks that have weapons. And we need to defend ourselves because these people basically saying, oh, we have left right now, but we'll be back. We'll be back. You know what I'm saying? So that shows that they are on the correct path because their enemy and our enemy has stated publicly. Like, again, one of the earlier shows we did, Eric Prince was saying the same thing. So we pretty much can come to the conclusion that Europeans, not just in Europe, have decided that they need to take Africa back over. So forming alliances and fortifying yourselves and focusing on security, which means need more weapons. It's only common sense. And anybody that's not trying to do that on the continent, they do not care about the people, right? Including people like Ruto, who's a prime example. But you got the dude in Ghana and these other people. If this is what time it is, right? So I done totally lost where I was. Was I on Mr. Goita? I passed Mr. Goita. All right, get to the next article real quick. And this is from September of 2023. Burkina Faso says leader discussed possible military cooperation with Russian delegation. So this is from when Mr. Traore met one-on-one with a delegation from Russia to discuss how they would move forward. And I don't know who this Russian dude is, but he looked like he's melting. Like it's probably the hottest he ever been in his life. You know what I'm saying? He looking like, all right, let's hurry up and get this done. Get some air conditioning out. Says a Russian delegation held talks with Burkina Faso's interim president Ibraheem Traore on Thursday at a meeting that included discussions for possible military cooperation, the Burkinabe presidency said in a statement. It said the visit, led by Russian Deputy Defense Minister Yunus Yekarov, was a follow-up talk between Traore and President Vladimir Putin at the Russian Africa Summit in St. Petersburg in July. The junta-led West African countries' relations with Moscow have been in the spotlight since it booted out French troops in February, fueling speculation it was deep in security ties with Russia, like its neighbor Mali, where the Russian Wagner Group mercenaries operate. The meeting addressed areas of cooperation which primarily concerned the military domain, including the training of Burkinabe officer cadets and officers at all levels, including pilots in Russia. Stop right there. Just stop right here. Do y'all understand how important it is? If someone is training you to fly jets, it's because they look forward to supplying you with jets. And superiority of air power is something that I don't know if any African state, maybe outside of South Africa, or possibly, I don't know, to be honest. Anything I say would be speculating because I don't know what happened to Libya's Air Force in the wake of everything that happened. So I don't even have a clue, right? Who, I guess Egypt, if we just talking about the countries on the continent, I guess Egypt would have the most sophisticated air force on the continent. So again, and thank you, brother. So again, this just shows that how forward thinking. Let me tell y'all something. All right, I'm not trying to drag this up. When I did my Africa versus everybody, those who saw it, did I not break down the weakness of the militaries on the continent and how low down the bar they were? And there was no one at the time who appeared to be addressing that. But now here we have brothers who are addressing that issue. So, man, it's just so exciting to see that there are people on the continent who have made the same analysis that I made 5-6 years ago. You know, I've been doing that lecture for a while and have come to the same conclusions, but are in a position to address those issues using that analysis and then move forward to push the country forward towards self-sufficiency and sovereignty. So it is, to me, I'm excited. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited by that. Let's see what else we got here. It says it did not say if Russian military trainers will be sent to Burkina Faso. The visit could be a further sign that Moscow is seeking to shore up its influence in Africa in the wake of the death of mercenary boss Yevgeny Prigozhin, who through the Wagner Group built up a network of interests across several African countries. So that was that. That I'm not gonna lie, that news is exciting to me because plain and simple, for me, is two things that Africa needs the most right now. The ability to feed themselves, which you have the most arable land in the world on the continent. The Sahel just happens to be one of those regions that is not within that range. Meaning good land to grow crops from. And two, the ability to defend yourselves. If you can feed yourselves and defend yourselves as a state, then you can advance and grow. The deficiencies in military technology for the continent have been ongoing since the fall of Kemet proper. So, literally, well, I put it like this: at least since for the last 600 years, since Europeans use gunpowder to make guns and explosives, we've been at a deficiency of military technology since then, and thus lost many battles simply because of that. Not because of lack of physical might or tactics or strategy or intelligence or in any of those things, but just overwhelmed by technology of your opponent, right? So when you can do something to even the playing field and to be able to defend yourself, then that changes everything, right? Because again, when we talk about what was Rudo getting? Rudo was getting helicopters from the U.S. Rudo was getting tanks from the U.S. Do you think Rudo was getting helicopters and tanks just to secure his own country? Secure his own country from who? Who are the threats to Kenya, right? No, they were getting that as a counterbalance to what's going on in the Sahel. So the brothers in the Sahel need their helicopters. They need their jets. They need their tanks. They need the things that can help counterbalance and fight against these bootlicking leaders that are getting weapons and money and stuff. Because what is part of the deal for Rudo to get these weapons, to get this money, to get these loans? One, to do what? To do what he did with the taxes and the austerity, and two, to go attack black people in Haiti, right? So you see somebody doing that, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this dude is a threat, even though he's not. He's across the continent, but he's getting a type of technology that, if you getting fighter jets being across the continent, don't make that as much of a difference as it was before, right? So, man, the vision that these brothers are showing and the tactical understanding of the time and what must be done, what has to take place, what is going on strategically, the strategic thinking. These brothers are really some visionaries right now. And they, just for me, outside looking in, studying their moves, they are on it. So real quick, I do got one more video to show. I actually had two more, but I'm just going to show one more. I'm going to show one more video real quick that deals with, if I'm not mistaken, it deals with this weekend's events. Oh, hold up. My bad. I haven't pause on that. All right, here we go.
This year for West Africa's regional bloc, ECOWAS. A number of coups have set off several crises leading to suspensions and sanctions. Those actions resulted in 3 member states, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, renouncing their membership and forming their own bloc, the Alliance of Sahel States. Although most of ECOWAS punitive sanctions have been lifted, many believe the crisis has undermined and weakened the organization. Nigeria, which holds the chairmanship, says much has been achieved in the past year.
The handling of the fragile situations in these countries has, even though perhaps not ideally what we would want, but it has helped to de-escalate tension, because at a point tension was really high and things could have gone south.
At the heart of the organization's troubles are security and the economy. Economic slowdown has resulted in high cost of living, leading to violent protests in some member states. Attacks by armed groups are also a major concern. One of the main reasons coup leadership in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger gave for toppling their democratic governments. Ahead of Sunday's ECOWAS summit in Nigeria, the leaders of the newly formed Alliance of Sahel States met in Niger's capital, Niamey. They discussed security and defense, combating terrorism, economic, cultural and trade exchanges. Analysts warn the alliance will need support from the rest of the region.
If they decide to operate on their own by isolating other ECOWAS countries or other countries within the Sahel, these groups will continue to exploit these gaps that would be created, and then of course continue to impact heavy toll on both the security forces as well as the citizens of the three countries.
ECOWAS has initiated moves led by the Senegalese president to bring the three countries back into its fold. So far, there are no indications this has succeeded.
Observers say the timing of the Alliance of Sahel States was deliberate. It's to show ECOWAS that Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger can do without the regional bloc. But some analysts say Mali and Niger in particular could face difficulties if all member countries of ECOWAS decide to isolate the two landlocked countries.
As leaders of the Sahel Alliance wrap up their meeting in Niger, ECOWAS members gathering in Nigeria have not commented on the Niamey meeting, likely hoping their latest efforts will convince the junta-led countries to return to the regional organization. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Abuja, Nigeria.
All right. So, real quick, because I think I'm pretty much ready to close out in a minute. So that is, let me see, is this the last article I had? Yep, this is the last article I had. So real quick, if you have not followed me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_one, on OTW2, which is a black-owned platform, at DC Radical1. You can donate via Cash App, $ DC Radical1. And you can email me at dc.radical_one at protonmail.com. So, as I said, this is a very exciting time. And these brothers need our support. We need to, and there's another thing that we need to do. There's going to be a lot of discussion and going to be a lot of things put forward negatively about Russia in the upcoming days. We've talked about that in what has become our series on, in essence, on World War III. It would behoove Black people to, seeing that our brothers who we know are revolutionaries and who are African nationalists, it would behoove us to not fall into the trap of saying things negative about Russia and just falling for the propaganda that actually has kind of been ongoing. I heard it, but I wasn't really paying attention to it, because right now that is, of the outside world, is going to, they are the strongest ally militarily of our brothers. So I just wanted to say that. And y'all let me know before we get ready to close out. Are y'all excited about these developments on the continent? Because I'm excited, because I personally believe that when they get strong enough, and this is why people like France see them as a threat. I believe that when they get strong enough, they will be able to export revolution and African nationalism to other countries where the people want it. I mean, a prime example right now where the people want it is Kenya, right? I mean, the people made it clear that as soon as Ruto came back from the U.S. and started talking that austerity talk, they're like, oh, no, sir. No, sir. Absolutely not. We're not having it, right? So, I mean, to me, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time on the continent. It's an exciting time for Black people overall. And, yeah, y'all know I'll keep an eye on this and try to get as informed as I can. Hopefully I'll be able to get some sources from the people there on the ground and keep y'all informed about the things that take place, because let's be honest, the enemy has said publicly that they don't like it, and they're probably going to be doing some machinations and things to try to destroy what we are building. But these people aren't cowards. They're not scared of the enemy, right? They're men. And that's why the enemy is scared, because they are men. All right. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to be honest. For the Black man in America, this is a sign that when you stand up as men and when you come together as men, you can actually accomplish something, and you can gain the respect of men outside of your nation, outside of your even outside of your race. You can gain the respect of them if they respect you as men, and you may be able to do something to advance the cause of your people because of your manhood, right? That's something that we don't talk about as Black men. We don't think about, because let's just be honest, we haven't been doing so great a job of being men in the last couple of years. We've been going out like some bees, because, to be completely honest, it's some dudes who shall not be named who come on the internet and complain about women every single day. They don't take no days off. They come on and complain and talk about this, what women ain't doing, women in general, sisters in particular, and how great other women are in places that they ain't even been to, and all this whole this and that, but haven't come up with not one plan of action, no solution to change anything, no constructive dialogue, nothing, but just having a bee and moan session, as you know, it's my family used to say. So, brother, you got ripped off. Says one of the biggest false arguments that FBA ADOS clowns say is Pan-African is one-sided, and that there are no Africans on the continent welcoming us or fighting our enemies. That's because those people are cowards, man. Most of those people are cowards. What people who claim those ideologies, what have they been doing to? I mean, let's be honest. Those people are the main people who they're not making no opposition against nobody. They just begging Urugu for reparations. They don't have any actual political plan of action or anything that could move us closer to the goal of reparations. Of course we need reparations. Of course we deserve reparations. Of course reparations is justice. That's not the question. The question is, what plan of action do you have to actuate that? Nothing. But people on the ground, on the continent, are actuating self-determination as we speak. And if you ain't talking about it, or you don't know what's going on, or you not supporting it, your opinion is of no relevance whatsoever. And that includes the people on the continent, the people in South America, the people in North America, the people in Australia, and wherever else you are. Right? Plain and simple. BB48 to 779311, who walks in the door as we are literally about to close out, but still glad to have you in here. So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. make sure your friends and your family, your colleagues, and anybody that you think would be amenable to hearing this type of information, that they check it out. I will be I'll be going through the footage this week of the last 3 events to see if there's anything that I can put up from Brother Genie that won't get deleted. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for some shorts from, I got a lot of footage that I took at various museums that I still haven't put up. So those shorts will be up. I will start the ancestral shorts later this week, if I can untie my tongue. So be on the lookout for that as well. Also, we'll be in Baltimore August 3rd for the next Chop It Up session, and then the Straight Black Pride annual convention is free this year. That will be August 17th. Now, I will be looking to I'll see if that's something that we can live stream, and so I'll let you all know about a live stream and what I need to offset the cost of that, and how that works. So that's August 17th in Baltimore. So again, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, on OTWTube at dcradical1. You can donate via Cash App, $DCRadical1, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. So with that, brothers and sisters, I say a BB for Odie and straight black pride.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for ODA and straight black pride.